Before we get started on our project, let's take a moment to introduce Substance Designer interface. All these panels can be a lot to take in, so the first thing I'd like to point out is that you don't need to know them all to start working in Designer. There are menus and tabs that you will barely use at first, and as you grow more confident and experienced, you will have your own preferred way of doing things. So don't feel like you have to know all the ins and outs of the interface to get started. Note also that these panels can all be moved and shuffled to your own liking, so if you have multiple screens, for example, it's really easy to create an interesting layout. You can at any point revert to the default layout by clicking on Windows, Reset Layout. Alright, let's start with the top left corner. You will find there your File Manager. This is where everything related to your project is stored. For each project that you create, you get that box that you can collapse like so. This box is what we call the package. As you save your project, you save an SBS file that contains all these elements so you can access them later on when you reopen it. So for example, in this project, we have 3 elements. We have 2 graphs and 1 imported bitmap. It's worth mentioning here that not everything has to be done from scratch in Designer and that you can always bring in external resources to speed up your work. We will come back to this later in this course. Below the File Manager is the library, where you will find all the Substance Designer resources that are available to you. I strongly encourage beginners to explore it, as it helps grasping what tools are available and what are the possibilities. You can, for example, preview all the noises at your disposal, explore the different filters, and learn what each of them does as you hover over them. Really useful. Now let's move on to the beating heart of the interface, the graph view. The graph view is that large checkered area in the middle of your screen. This is where you will spend most of your time in Designer as you start adding and connecting nodes. Navigating the graph view is very simple. Press your middle mouse button to pan, use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and if you accidentally get lost, pressing F will take you back to your nodes. Right above the graph view sits a toolbar where you can access the core nodes as well as some tools and utilities to inspect your graph. On the right-hand side is a very important panel in which we will spend a lot of time. This is the Properties panel. It's a context-sensitive panel that changes based on what is selected. There are lots of information displayed here, and it may feel overwhelming at first, but we can break it down easily. The base parameters at the top are parameters common to all the nodes, and you won't have to worry about them in the beginning. Below them are the specific parameters, which show the settings of the particular node that you have selected, and this is where you can control its behavior. Finally, we have 2 important windows below the graph: the 3D view and the 2D view. They're important because they're giving you the visual feedback that you will need to examine and balance your work. The 3D view displays your outputs in real time, giving you an interactive overview of your material. Press your left mouse button to rotate the model, middle mouse button to pan, and right mouse button to zoom in and out, or simply use the scroll wheel. To rotate the environment light, hold Ctrl, Shift, and right-click while dragging your mouse sideways like so. You will find yourself doing this quite often because it lets you see how your material behaves under different lighting angles. By default, Designer will display your material on a rounded cube, but you can change that in the Scene menu right here. There are more menus and parameters to explore in the 3D view, but let's keep that for later. Next to it is the 2D view. It displays, you guessed it, 2D images. More specifically, it shows the current state of any node you double-click on, and it really complements the 3D view by letting you inspect up close the result of any operation. This is great for monitoring the grayscale values, searching for artifacts and errors, but also making sure your material tiles properly. So to sum up, when you create a project in Designer, it gets stored in a package that contains your graphs and resources and sits in the Project Manager on the left. Most of your work will then take place between those 4 windows. You add and connect nodes in your graph view, you adjust their settings in the Properties panel, and you check the result in real time in your 3D and 2D view. Now let's set up our project.